We're going. We're going live.
Good evening to you. Welcome. This is ESTV on a Tuesday night, or it could be whatever day you want it to be if you're watching this on the replay. I'm Alan Hennessy. I'm joined in studio tonight by Howard Hughes. Hi, Howard. How are you tonight?
Good evening, Alan.
Good stuff. And also, I'm joined by our very own Trevor Lorkings, the digital alchemist.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
How are you tonight? How are you guys? How was your week? How have we been? Have we been busy? Have we been effectifying everybody?
We have. Well, I have anyway. What about you, Howard? Had a good couple of days?
I've had an amazingly productive couple of days, and thanks to some of Alan's guidance with the tools, with the social media tools, I've found a great way to leverage my time because I'm also a stay-at-home dad, so I do the majority of my work in the mornings. And then because we can automate certain things, I can be a dad in the afternoons then and just be present with the kids, which is very important to me.
Very good, very good. Well, just to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, that you are with ESTV, and we are live every Tuesday evening between 8 and around about 8:30. So we're on for about a half an hour or so. On the show tonight, we have some exciting stuff going on. What we have is we're going to be talking. The topic for tonight would be around value and how you can add value for your customer, how you can add value to yourself, and also tools that can make your life more easy, but yet more valuable as well. We'll also be joined by our guest tonight, who is Greg Fry from Content Plan. And if you don't know about Greg Fry is probably one of Ireland's leading social media experts, and he'll be in the studio with us tonight to talk in a little while. So I'm going to cut to the chase, and I'm going to get straight into this. So we're going to be talking about values. So Trevor, I'm just sort of sitting here and we're talking about it, and I was just saying, you know, providing value to your customers is probably a key part of any service or any product business. So maybe you might talk and give us a little bit of insight on that as well.
Yeah, value. It's what I was really interested in when I spent 20 years in purchasing. I spent 20 years spending money, which is a good 20 years. But the one thing you sort of learn after a while is the difference between value and price. And on my wall, I should read it out to you because it's a bit wordy. On my wall in my office, I had the quote by a famous guy called John Ruskin, and it says, "It's unwise to pay too much, but it's worse to pay too little. When you pay too much, you lose a little money. That's all. When you pay too little, you sometimes lose everything because the thing you bought was incapable of doing the thing you bought it to do. The common law of business balance prohibits paying a little and getting a lot. If you deal with the lowest bidder, it is well to add something for the risk you run. And if you do that, you'll have enough money to pay for something better."
Very wise, very, very wise words when you think about it, you know.
Yeah, so I learned that, say, in the purchasing role, it's the classic simple thing, you get what you pay for, is the old phrase, isn't it? But also in my work now, digital alchemist work, more as a salesperson rather than a buyer, I offer good value to my customers. So I use that same principle that if I can give my customers really good value, they're going to benefit more than if I skimp and save and sort of cut corners and try and get away with not providing that value to them. And bottom line is, if my customers are successful, then that filters back to me, and that makes me successful as well, hopefully. Because if they're not successful, then they're probably not going to be a customer for much longer, are they? So that's
true.
That's my principle of value, thanks to the old John Ruskin.
Well, it is, and it's very true. And I think if you do, if you provide a good service and you provide value, as I said, to your customers, it also it helps. It also spreads as well, because in turn they become very successful. They become, valued customers, which also shows referrals as well, in that sense, to other people who want your services. So it also, it promotes you in an indirect way, I suppose, would be the word as well.
Yeah.
So the thing, Trevor, really is that what I find these days is a lot of people equate value with the price, which isn't necessarily true.
No, definitely not. Two distinct different things, and I think it was apparent to me this week that came up in my world. There was a lot of email problems, I believe, in Ireland this week, or end of last week, and computers have problems. This is what they do, and there was a lot of people moaning because they couldn't have their email for, I think, best part half a day, and the world came to an end. But when I reflect at some of the customers I have, they pay very little for their email, maybe €10 a year. And then they're moaning when it goes down. And at this point, I can see Greg's just trying to get into the room. So let's see if Greg wants to come in, and let's go over to Alan to have a chat with Greg.
Well, good evening there, Mr. Fry. You're looking very smart, and you're all in red tonight. Looking well.
Lady in red, but not a lady.
Well, yeah, that's debatable. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us tonight. It's a pleasure to have your company on tonight's show. Our first official guest, and it's a very, very special guest as well, Mr. Greg Fry. So, Greg, we're just talking here about values at the moment and how value can be added to your digital marketing, through your business, and the way you go through it. And Trevor has just been talking about, the email in Ireland, that there was the emails went down, certain people's emails went down, and you may want to carry on there, Trevor, just talking about what you were saying there.
Yeah, I'm just about finishing off that one. Evening. Yeah, it was just people don't value the service they get. They look at their hosting, their email hosting, and say, "Oh, it's €10 a year, €8 a year, €7 a year." They get cheaper and cheaper, and they look at the price, and they invest in a key business asset, is email, when you're in business, and they invest very little money in it, and then they're surprised when there's a problem, and they're going, it was only €10, but my email's gone down. They didn't think about that when they saw the price. They didn't see the value, and they ignored the value and just went for that cheap price, and then then they come unstuck. So that's really summing up. Look at the value of when you're buying, and equally, if you can offer it the other around when you're selling, same side, offer the same again, give that good value, and know the difference.
Yeah, I suppose so. Okay, well, that's fantastic, Trevor. I think we'll have a chat with Greg.
Wait a second, we just need to make sure Howard's alive.
I was just about to say that he is alive. Yeah,
It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. I thought it was a cardboard cutout. I really did.
You had me sus there. You had me sus, Greg.
I did. But I mean, Trevor's bang on about the value piece, in fairness to him. It is amazing. People's perception nowadays is they expect something for nothing. They expect something for free. And I think as businesses, it's becoming harder for us to differentiate from the other guy that's offering our product and service for peanuts. And I think it's really important that we take the time out to really look at what our unique selling points are, and we make sure that we lead with that added value that we offer when selling our product and service. Because otherwise, it's a race to the bottom where we all go first. No one makes any money. So think about what your unique selling point is and kind of lead with that. You can see a very popular model these days seems to be the subscription model, where essentially rather than buying a product once off, that you literally buy an ongoing subscription for great value-added service. So I was just to jump into your conversation there, Trevor, as I so rudely didn't show up at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, and it is, and it's a very valid point, because we see it every day, and I think adding value to, especially with social media and the way it is, Greg, and you probably agree with this, is that, it's finding your USP. It's finding what it is that that makes you different than everyone else. That gives you that extra edge. Would you agree? And is there ways that you would, promote and say, like, this would be advice that we would give clients, on this?
I mean, I think one of the best bits of advice is think like your customer, not like your business. And I know that might sound a little bit bonkers, but at the same time, if you really want to demonstrate value and be meaningful for your target audience, you need to put your feet in their shoes, and you need to think like them. And that's why so many big businesses have invested in massive amounts of money in developing personas and literally trying to come up with real solutions for their products, rather than give solutions to the answers that they want to answer, rather than what the people's genuine needs and wants are.
Yeah.
Trevor?
I mean, the whole thing of value is people do underestimate it, and there is this danger that you just think, well, especially with selling, I'll just cut my price to get the business. I'll cut my price and cut my price, and you're really just undermining yourself. You're devaluing yourself down to the lowest common denominator, and then it just ends up the market then plummets. Everybody does everything for nothing, and the value all disappears, because once you're not earning any money, do you still give value? Can you still give value? I think that's.
Yeah, and I don't think you can. And I think, if it's like if you go, you can go and you can buy a cheap jacket or a cheap jumper and whatever, and it might last you only a couple of weeks. But if you go out and you buy an expensive jumper, it could last you a lot longer. So similar to that in business, if you're paying for a service, it's about valuing that and saying, okay, I'm going to pay for this service, so I'll expect that the work behind it will be of value to me. And if you pay small money for whatever it is, the services or whatever you're buying, you're going to expect it. You're not going to expect a lot out of it. Would you agree, Howard? How do you feel?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Greg, there's a lot of talk about adding value to your content when you're doing content marketing. What's your understanding of that?
Again, it probably boils down to what we were just saying, is if you've got putting yourself in the shoes of your customer. It's very easy to write from a business perspective and end up pontificating and forcing your physical viewpoints upon your reader. But at the same time, if you start to write about the topics and about the issues that people are struggling with or have concerns of, you're offering genuine value. So one of the simplest things in life to do is if you can demonstrate as your business your passion, your knowledge, and actually solve people's problems at the same time, you become a very attractive business proposition for them. And I know in Ireland we struggle with this. I remember when I first set up my careers coach business, my competitors said, Greg, you're nuts. You're telling everyone in the industry how to write a brilliant CV. What are you doing? Like, I was letting these mad trade secrets out that only guys that love CV services should know. And it was just this incredible paranoia. Why tell someone how to do a good interview? Because then they're going to know and they won't come and need your service. And in essence, it's the opposite. Essentially, by demonstrating genuine value, demonstrate your passion, your ability, your likability, and makes people far more likely to want to pick up the phone or drop you an email or reach out and want to connect and do business with you.
Mm.
In Ireland, old traditional Irish business, we struggle against that. We feel we have a level of expertise, we have a knowledge, and we want to hold on to it, and we want to charge people lots of money for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't really work like that. At the end of the day, Howard, I can show you how to build your own house, and you can know how to build your own house. The likelihood is you're not going to have the time, the patience, or the energy to go ahead and build your own house. So what are you going to do? You're probably going to reach out and get the person to build your house that you trust, the person to build your house that you know can do a brilliant job, the person to build your house that's the expert. And ultimately, that's all we're trying to do when it comes to creating value.
Yeah. I also find that when you look at that scenario, if you can pass your value on and you're not so bogged down about doing it, it lets you absorb more value in from other people. So you can pass it on and move on. So instead of you having to do all that work, you can pass that value on to others. Some will pick it up, some will run with it, some will want you to do it. But it opens up possibilities that you can bring in more in other avenues. You can explore other things because you're not bogged down and keep on hanging on to that knowledge and don't share it with anybody. And it keeps it moving around and keeps moving the value on throughout the sort of value chain of people, really. That's how I see it.
Absolutely.
And I suppose that's the value of this building for sending out, let's say, e-zines or whatever to your customers, giving them value content and creating that trust and that bond between you and your prospect, let's say.
When we talk about social, I always think you've got kind of 4 stages talking about the value piece. And number 1 is you've got to let people know you exist. So no one can do business with us unless they know we exist. So that's stage 1. But stage 2, which is the element that we don't spend enough time doing, is just because someone knows we exist doesn't mean that they want to do business with us. And so I always think step number 2, which we rush very often in business, is developing likability. To actually getting the people that know we now exist to actually like it. And it's developing that likability that motivates people to want to reach out and come and do business. So, Alan, you were just about to park on a solo run of something very inspirational. But let's you to it.
No, we're just going back on what you're saying there. It's true, and as you said, you give out that information where this is how you build your CV, or this is how you do whatever. But I think that also shows then that people will come to you more so because if they know that you're giving out this information, the likelihood is they may say to themselves, well, hold on, if he's giving out this information, what more does this guy know? And this also shows your expertise as well. It gives you an added value as well because they start thinking like, well, God, if he's giving out this amount of information to me, what else can I learn from it? What else can he do for me?
Big time, and while we're on that topic, I think another thing that people are often obsessed with is they feel a need to always be creating the content. And the reality is, you can be the source of sharing third-party great content. You don't need to create everything. I found when I set up my careers coaching business many moons ago, I did something by accident. I realized that there was only one me. I couldn't write 26 blog posts a day. I couldn't create jobs. I couldn't provide interview skills for the world. So what I did is I sat down and I built a fairly simple strategy that actually would get out the message that I knew what I was talking about. And one part of my strategy was sharing great interview tips, great CV tips, great career advice tips from third parties. It was also sharing any positive job news that I found in the marketplace. And what started to happen is people started to associate me with the content that I was sharing. People started to associate me with the source of the knowledge that they were digesting. So even though I didn't write the article about the great interview tips, and I didn't actually create the jobs that were developed in Mail, hell no, it wasn't even there cutting the ribbon announcing them. I was the source of that great content. But even just you don't have to create all the content yourself. Sharing great third-party content is a great place to develop your brand and add value.
Mm. And I do think a lot of companies don't think that. They say, oh, well, I can't be, you know what I mean? That's me promoting other people's businesses. But in actual fact, you know, okay, there is a certain element of that, but there's also the whole idea of is that people will see you as an influencer, as a person that, you know, I see Greg Fry on LinkedIn. I know that it's going to be a good article. I know it's going to be information that I will find relevant. So I'm going to start following you, or I'm going to start, you know, connecting with you. I may even use your services in that respect. And that goes for every business, I think. Well, like that, if they start doing that and get away from this thinking of, you know, oh, I'm only pushing out my own content. I think that's, you know, I think that's a huge thing.
I think it's small, but I'm not small businesses out there. We've got a big issue, and that big issue is time. What we should be doing in a theoretical world is not what's practical in the real world. So we've got to box Trevor in life. So if that's a blend of created and shared content to maximize our presence online, that's what we should be doing. Now, there is that blend. We don't want to be just sharing everyone's content. We need to create some of our own too. But at the same time, we've got to be aware of our time. So many businesses don't jump onto digital and don't actually make any sort of an impact because they're too busy. They don't have time. And it's because they're not thinking right. They're not boxing Trevor. They end up doing absolutely nothing.
Brilliant stuff. Well, Greg, it was a pleasure to have you on the show tonight. We're delighted that you are our first guest, and thanks for all of your valuable advice. And you know, it really is. It was a pleasure to talk to you. How can people get in contact with you if they wanted to talk to you?
Oh, they can't. You don't go near them. I'm not into that sort of thing at all now.
Okay, well, if you want to do it, I'll do it. You can get you at Greg Fry Social. You're on Twitter at Greg Fry Social. Am I right in saying that?
Oh, yeah, get me at Greg Fry Social. It even says it on the T-shirt there. I think you're there.
Look at that! Look at that! A walking advertisement.
That's it. It's blatant as you like, you know. The other weird thing is you can actually put in Greg Fry telephone number in Google. You'd be amazed what comes up. So, bottom line is, I'm very easy to find, very easy to stalk. If you have any questions regarding social media online, you want to reach out and have a chat, you want to follow or talk to me on Twitter, by all means reach out and say hi.
Brilliant. Well, thanks, Greg, for jumping in tonight, and really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you very soon. All right.
See you guys. All the best. Nice to see you, Greg. Howard.
Have a great evening.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. There you go. Some fantastic comments there.
It's great, very animated. Great fun.
Oh, he's extremely animated, and he's excellent as well. Lovely, lovely guy. Yeah, and we'll put obviously his details up on the post as well. Just getting back to our discussion on value, Howard, you know, we spoke the other day, and you were saying that you were going to bring it up in the program tonight about valuing yourself, and maybe you might give us a little more insight into that.
Yeah, well, it's very important. As you know, one of the exercises I do with my clients is I ask them to list out a series of values in their life. So they'd come up with maybe honesty, family, free time, all that kind of stuff. And I've yet to meet somebody who puts down themselves as a value. And they look at me then and they realize a lot of us, especially as parents, we're always outward. We're always giving out from ourselves, you know, we're giving to our children, we're giving to our friends and all that kind of stuff. And you know, there was a great saying, the best way to help the poor is to not be one of them. And essentially what that means is you cannot help somebody else unless you're in a position to help them first. So I often say, well, look, let's say we're in a relationship and you start this relationship and you would do anything for this person. You love them passionately, and to show them that you love them, you cook them dinner and you massage their feet or all that kind of stuff. whatever it is, you do all these displays of affection and attention. And that's great. And then I say, well, then what do you do for yourself? What do you do? What actions do you take that show you that you value yourself? And it's a real conversation stopper. And again, it goes back to, you know, even on the airlines, when the mask falls down, they tell you to help yourself first before you help your children. Okay?
And it's very true.
What's that?
And that is, it's very true. And I do believe, sorry for cutting across you, but I honestly do believe that, you know, you do have to value yourself. And we don't, as individuals, I don't think we do that enough for ourselves.
You know? And I think the fear is that people give it loads of this, oh, look at that, he loves himself. And if somebody said that to me, look at him, he loves himself, I'd go, thank you very much, I'm glad you noticed. Because here's what happens when you do love yourself and you do value yourself. Number one, your language changes. Number two, it's your cue for other people how to treat you. How you treat yourself is other people's cue on how to treat you. So this is very important for business. And it's also important for your social media interactions, that you show that you value yourself. It also impacts then on your pricing, because once you know your own value, you know what to charge. It's very easy in the corporate world because they give you a wage, and that's what they say you're worth. Your value is bam, and it's according to your wage. But when you are in business for yourself, it's very difficult to kind of go, do you know what? I think I'm worth 50 euros an hour. I'm worth 100 euros an hour. But how do you know that unless you start to value yourself?
It's very difficult, Howard. I mean, I learned very early on my web design business when it was more of a paying hobby, but it was sort of getting to that kind of about to jump out of the 9 to 5 into web design. And I went to see a client in London. So I head off from the sticks out up into the big city, got my best suit on, got my new laptop ready to go for this marketing meeting in a huge insurance company. And I went in there on a Thursday and they said, I want a 3-page website. Now, nowadays, a 3-page website on WordPress, a few €100, you know, that kind of money, let's say hundreds of euros. And they said, well, we need it by the weekend, over the weekend. We want it live by Monday. Can you do it? So I said, I'll get you a quote by the time I get home. I quoted them £3,000. They bit my arm off, and I found out their budget was £5,000.
And you know, there it is. You've got to, you know, you've got to know your value. And what it is for me there, you know, Greg was talking about a race to the bottom. Think about Apple. Think about how Apple have valued themselves and positioned themselves, that they actually have people coming to them regardless of price. People who want to be at the narrow end, at the start of the bell curve of, you know, they want to be the first, they want to be the entrepreneurs, they want to be the pioneers and all that kind of stuff. So if you're watching this, what I would say is think about how you value your time. As Greg said, he could teach me how to build a house, but that's not what I do. Coaching is what I do.
Yeah.
And it's not valuing my time for me to build a house, when what I should be doing is my purpose, which is coaching. So have a think about how you're spending your time, what value you've placed on your time, and then charge accordingly as a business owner.
Well said, Howard. I think really good. It's an excellent reminder, and I think a valuable lesson that probably maturity teaches you as well as having a good business coach. But and it is for me, it's all making yourself, once you know your value, if you can make yourself more efficient, it gives you better value on your value, really, doesn't it? It amplifies that thing. And I know we were talking to Alan earlier on about, you know, efficiency, and effectifying is what we're all about, making things effective. And something I see when I'm on Twitter hours, because I run Twitter Hour British Biz Party, people aren't being effective because they got the wrong tools and lack the knowledge how to use the right tools to be effective on social media. And I want to just introduce Alan here as our social media tools expert, although he doesn't like the word expert, but we'll bear with it. And just, I know, you know, wrapping up towards the end of our show today, whether you can give us a bit of insight of how you could be more effective, say, on a Twitter hour, if that was a popular thing you were going to do.
Yeah, well, look, if you, as you say, you know, it's about, you know, valuing your time, and, you know, time is precious. And to be effective, you know, say for instance, we're talking there about Twitter hours, you're talking about the Twitter hours, you know, there's tools out there that you can have, like, I've often come across people who would say, oh, I can't keep up with the feed, or I can't keep up on watching on my phone, or, you know, I'm on the laptop and I'm trying to jump out of, you know, the actual hour and jump into the hashtag and whatever. So there's a tool out there, and I'm only going to use one tonight. It's probably the easiest one. Is TweetDeck. And the beauty of TweetDeck is you can have all of these streams on one screen, where you can view everything. So whether it be the hashtag, whether it be the mentions, or whether it be the hour, you know, the Twitter handle, they're all there, and they're all able. You can use every one of them, all in one place. So it saves you the time of having to go and having to search for these different, you know, as I said, these different areas. It's all one tool, and it's very easy. And I actually think it is free to use.
Yeah.
You know, I know if you go up to a certain amount of accounts, it costs you. It starts to cost you. But there is a free account out there, so check it out. Have a look at it. It will be of help to you. Over the coming weeks, we'll talk about other tools that can help you as well. But TweetDeck is the one that I would say, if you're serious about using Twitter and you wanted to, you know, keep an eye on the Twitter hours that you're involved in. And there is loads out there for different businesses and different hours for different countries and counties and companies and whatever, and different genres. So have a look at it and do a little bit of research. But TweetDeck would be the one that I would suggest to use.
So if you had more than one Twitter account, would you still be able to use TweetDeck?
Yes, you can use it over a number of accounts. I think there's a certain limit on how many you can use, but you can tweet. So if, for instance, you had two different businesses, so say we were doing one and we used it, Effectifying Social, and we also had Kompass Media, and I wanted to be on a particular, say, the British Fizz Party, or I could actually then go on and I could write the tweet, and I could select which particular account I want, which Twitter handle I wanted to go out from. So it means that if you're running two businesses, you can have, or even running two types of account, that you can start tweeting on the both of them on the one page. So it saves you having to jump in and out of it. So it's well worth having a look at. It's TweetDeck. I think it's. I'll get the full address, but as far as I know, it's tweetdeck.com anyway. And if you search for it on Google, you'll find it anyway. But if you need any help, you can get in contact with us at Effectifying Social, and we can help you too as well. You know. So I think, guys, that is a wrap for tonight. I think it was a great show. Thanks for your contributions. As we said, we were talking about value, and each week on the show, we are going to talk about a different topic and hopefully give our opinions on it and give our advice and our expert advice is what I was told to say. So if you want to get in contact with us during the week or anything, or if you have a suggestion for a topic, or you want to make a comment, or you want to make some suggestions for the show, we're always delighted to hear from you. You can find us on Twitter at Effectifying SOS, or SOC, sorry, not SOS, maybe sometimes it would be. It's Twitter at Effectifying SOC. You'll also find us on Facebook at Effectifying Social. Instagram, we're there as Effectifying Social. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Effectifying Social. And all else fails, you can check out our website, which is www.effectifying.social. All right. So, guys, thanks for your help tonight and for joining in the show. And look forward to talking to you next week, same time for more. So on the next time, good night, Trevor. Good night, Howard. Thanks.
Good night, Howard. Good night, Alan. Good night. Good night.